Please welcome President and CEO of Auburn Manufacturing, Kathy Leonard.
I'm Kathy Leonard, founder and president of Auburn Manufacturing. This is a huge day for us. Small companies like us just don't get the opportunity to introduce the president or to host the president of the United States. It doesn't happen. We've been making heat-resistant textiles for industry and defense for 43 years now. We started in Mechanic Falls with 2 people, I was one of them, and have expanded exponentially over time. We're now in 2 places. We have 2 plants, one in Mechanic Falls, one here in Auburn, which we're in. And we have now over 50 people, and we're on track to increase our workforce by another 30%. Growing a business, I know, finally. Growing a business, especially exponentially, isn't easy. We've experienced many challenges during those years. First of all, interest rates. They were 14% when we started building our first building. That's pretty high. Secondly, Chinese dumping of silica fabric, one of our major products, stole 30% of our domestic industry by 2016. And that forced us to file an anti-dumping case against China, and it was successful but very expensive. Then COVID hit, just as we were recovering from what we'd been through the last several years. That was a really difficult time for all of us. But President Biden's American Rescue Plan helped keep businesses like us afloat. It helped reignite the U.S. economy. That's the truth. His bipartisan infrastructure law got folks hired, rebuilding our roads, our bridges, our critical infrastructure, and helping businesses of all kinds. His Inflation Reduction Act and CHIPS and Science Act and his focus on American manufacturing has increased demand for U.S.-made products like ours. So, we're now back. We're growing our workforce again, we're entering new markets, and we're upgrading our plants and equipment. While our tagline, you can see over there, is innovation on fire. You know, we were really on the brink of about flaming out for a while. And it's now, it really is now, innovation reignited.
Under trickle-down economics, it didn't matter where companies made things as long as it helped their bottom line. Even if that meant jobs and supply chains moved overseas. What did most of these guys do? They decided to send the jobs overseas where the labor was cheaper and bring the product made back to the United States more expensive. Entire towns and communities got hollowed out, not just here in Maine, but all across America. This is not just for Maine, this is all of America. Small towns and medium-sized towns all across America. Factories got shut down. Let me remind you of a few examples. Auburn and Lewistown, right next door, used to be home for some of the country's largest textile mills. Bates Manufacturing was the largest employer in Maine, with thousands of employees supplying the country with high-quality cloth and quilts. Bates Manufacturing survived the Civil War, the Great Depression, and 2 world wars. But in the 1990s, American textile production moved overseas. Bates closed shop, and by the way, my state used to be a gigantic producer of textiles, the DuPont Company. Same thing happened with Maine's iconic paper industry. Between 1990 and 2010, Maine lost nearly 45,000 manufacturing jobs. And like we saw across the country, once thriving cities and towns became shadows of what they used to be. When these towns were hollowed out, something else was lost as well. And I come from Northeast Pennsylvania, I know about shutting down towns. Pride. People lost their pride. But now we're turning things around. Like here at Auburn Manufacturing, you heard Kathy talk about starting this company 40 years ago, making advanced textiles that are fire and heat resistant. They weathered decades of economic storms. Now, with the help of the American Rescue Plan, they're having their biggest export year ever. The company's growing, and their products are made in America. Made in America.